Remember Afghanistan, that Central Asian country that the British, Russians, and Americans tried to conquer but all failed because they failed to understand its tribalistic social makeup and perhaps underestimated the skills of the enemy fighters they were up against? Yeah, it tends to pop up now and again in Western media in such headlines as car bomb kills scores in Kabul or Taliban massacre government troops. Well, both the Taliban and Islamic State militants have stepped it up. I was just looking at a map on the BBC website which breaks the country down into full Afghan government control, which amounts to about 30%, with the Taliban in full control of about 4% of the country. Think Helmand province and other areas. Then the map is colour-coded into high, medium and low frequency of open Taliban attacks on, I guess you might say in some cases, tenuously held government areas. High-end attacks, that being attacks coming at least twice a week, account for 15% of districts. Medium-level attacks, at least 3 Taliban attacks per month, accounts for 20% of Afghan districts. There are 399 districts in Afghanistan. It's a country of about 30 million people. The BBC, my source for this, have been doing plenty of comprehensive research and fact-finding, understandable given our years of military involvement in the country from 2001 through 2014. So according to the results of recent BBC investigations, reporters have found, interesting stuff, quote, about 15 million people, half the population, are living in areas that are either controlled by the Taliban or where the Taliban are openly present and regularly mount attacks, unquote. The Taliban have taken control of much of Helmand province and clearly have designs or ambitions on taking the rest of it. I'm going to link to this piece in the description. Apparently now, Islamic State group, the fanatics who've lost pretty much all of their territory in Syria and Iraq, now they have a presence in 30 Afghan districts. A spokesman for the Afghan president seems to be confident that they've got the security situation under control and that the government has curtailed Taliban and IS activity. What's worrying for the Afghan government and Western backers, I would assume, is the fact that the Taliban has moved beyond traditional southern strongholds into east, west and north Afghanistan. Looking at the numbers in the 2017 battle map, I guess you'd call it, it doesn't look like a secure situation for the Afghan military, not by a long way. It looks like a conflict that's going to run and run. I believe the number of US troops in the country is at about 14,000 now. Trump deployed a further 3,000 last year to make up that 14,000 number. Hundreds of UK troops died in Helmand province between 2001 and 2014, fighting these militants, let's call them what they are, religious lunatics. The war on terror. What a fucking terrible joke that is. How many hundreds of billions of dollars have the Iraq and Afghan wars cost the American taxpayer? Or should that be a bill running into the trillions now, all things considered? And what do you have to show for it, American taxpayers? What do we have to show for it? What's the end game? And can it possibly justify all the bloodshed and the huge financial costs. What is Emperor Trump going to do? More troops, more military spending? He'll keep banging on the war drum, that's who he is. I genuinely feel bad for regular Afghan folks. I'm not just saying that, I do. And I'm sure that huge numbers of them just want to live peaceful lives free from the control of maniacs. Afghanistan of the mid-ish 20th century was a very different place than it is now, but yeah, it's quite a story there. It all went horribly wrong. Watch a documentary sometime. Disturbing stuff.